What is going on, Raider Nation? Raider Primo back again with another live show, you guys. On the way in, please think about hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like, and hitting that bell. We got a good show today, you guys. I did schedule this for yesterday, you guys, but still fighting this flu. So was had to push it back for today. We will be talking a little bit about the Spytek presser that happened on Monday. We're going to discuss the Raiders' future, and we are going to be talking about that Spytek is under pressure, and it seems like he knows he's under pressure. He is doing his due diligence, you guys, as we already have a few coaches lined up for interviews. We also have some rumors of some other coaches that can possibly be coming in for some interviews. We know Brian Flores and Brian Daboll as kind of a team. Brian Flores being the head coach, and then Brian Daboll possibly being the offensive coordinator could possibly come in, possibly as a tandem. There's no interview scheduled with either one, you guys, but those are names that are floating around Las Vegas. But before we get into that, you guys, I have to address the chat room because Raider Nation, you guys make the show. You guys are the reason why the Primos podcast exists. It is because you guys. We have CGR in the building. Salute to CGR. Salute to my guy. 2-4. He wants that wrench too, but 2-4 knows things are earned, things are not given. Don't worry, 2-4. You might be getting that wrench sometime soon. Don't worry. Keep popping in, bro. We'll get it going. We'll get it going. But yeah, you guys, let's dive right into it. Let's dive into the current interview schedule for our Las Vegas Raiders. Actually, before we go into that, you guys, I just want to give my quick thoughts on the Spytek interview, you guys, or the presser. And I believe that Spytek handled that presser phenomenally. Of course, I wanted him to kind of put some more out there. But again, I understand it. He's going to keep some things in-house. I'm not expecting him to just go out there and absolutely, acknowledge how bad, not just acknowledge how bad of a season it was, but putting blame on Pete Carroll, on the coaching staff, on Brendan Carroll, on addressing how bad the offensive line was. I know he was going to be more political when it came to those subjects, but he still owned up that he took blame, that he is responsible for, or he is part of the reason why the season ended the way it did. And I like that because we did say that he did deserve some of the blame. Getting an Alex Kappa, one of the worst offensive guards in the free agency. You could really talk about his draft maybe later in the draft when it came to Tommy Millott and Cam Miller. Tommy Millott, we let him go. Cam Miller got snatched up from the practice squad. But outside of that, couldn't really beat up on his draft too much. As we know, Pete Carroll did not really play his draft as we would have liked, especially it already being clear-cut from the beginning that it was going to be a losing season. There should have been no reason why there was veterans out there. You have two, especially with the offensive line, as much as we were beating up on that offensive line, you guys, there's no reason why you have third-round rookies and Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers just sitting on the bench, and then you come out and you say that they're not ready when you then start that, or you then play Caleb Rogers, who you said was not ready, and then he comes out and he plays very, very, I wouldn't say phenomenally, but he played very, very well, at least for a rookie, third-round rookie. He was holding up his own. And same with Charles Grant. So I couldn't really beat up Spytek when it came to his draft, but you could argue that he went into free agency and he kind of really didn't. He didn't even re-sign, Spillane, Trayvon Merritt. He let those guys walk, Chase on, guys that we were hoping that he would bring back. He did restructure. I believe he restructured Max Crosby's deal, basically keeping him for another, basically locking him up for the foreseeable future. And the same with Colton Miller. So John Spytek did make moves in free agency last year, but he believes that he could have done more. And I love hearing that because I believe he could have done more. And I'm hoping he stays true to his word going into this offseason and being aggressive and basically doing more. Not only keeping some of the guys that we have in the building, which I believe there's not really a lot that you can look at when it comes to guys who are on or testing the free agent market this offseason. I believe there's a lot of positions that we can upgrade in the offseason. Again, Tyler Linderbaum is on my basically at the top of my free agency board to go get and that's if you want to keep JPJ at guard. You could bring in Linderbaum, plug him in at center, put JPJ at left guard, and keep Colton Miller at left tackle, and then boom, you have a strong left side on the offensive line. But as we know, you guys, the big decision that John Spytek has to make right now is who is going to be the head coach. And ultimately, whoever comes in, whoever is hired, that kind of gives us a clear picture on the offseason, a clear picture on free agency, on the draft. How are we going to move? What system are we going to run? I said it with Jay and I said it with Raider Will that is going to be the most important decision because, yes, we want to bring in Tyler. We love Tyler Linderbaum. We want to bring him in. Braden Smith, we talked about him, the right tackle from the Indianapolis Colts. And we talked about, of course, that number 1 overall pick. Are we going to look at Fernando Mendoza? Ultimately, yes, those are the guys that we want to go for. But what if the coach that comes in, or even John Spytek himself, don't really like a Tyler Linderbaum or don't really like Fernando Mendoza? And I know, guys, that's not the case. I do believe that Spytek and his scouting department, they love Fernando Mendoza. But again, you want the vision to be aligned. And if they're not high on Fernando Mendoza, I would not pick a quarterback just to pick a quarterback. I would pick Fernando Mendoza because I am high on Fernando Mendoza, not because the Raiders need a quarterback, you guys. I am high on Fernando Mendoza, but it also depends on what head coach we bring here. Can they bring the best out of him? And then also the Max Crosby question that a lot of people seem that Spytek dodged that question. I don't think he did. I addressed it with my brothers Jay Raider and Raider Will, and I said that I agreed with Raider Will. Essentially, he said that it was more directed to almost the entire team, that and even to himself when it came to not just Max but also other players, that you got to keep those guys around. And we talked about it as well, you guys, that if this is the offseason you want to trade Max Crosby, this is the offseason to do it, because he's already had, I believe, 2-3 surgeries in the past 3 years. His injuries are seeming to go well. He plays on those injuries, you guys, but they're required. It seems like he always requires surgery once the season is up. And yes, that's a testament to how hard of a worker that Max Crosby is, and giving it his all to the Raiders, going out there and playing on injury, being a leader in that locker room, he's not a team captain for no reason. But again, having said that, you guys, I still wouldn't move on from Max Crosby because there's so many holes on that defense, you guys. We already need to get another defensive end, another edge rusher. You don't want to trade Max Crosby again. Yes, you can possibly get a haul, and that's only if you get a haul. But if we're only getting offered 2 first-round picks, I'm probably not going to take it, you guys, because I don't want to trade Max away. And then now, instead of 1 defensive end, we got to look for 2 defensive ends. You don't want to hurt this team more than it's already hurting. So I believe he answered the question correctly. He didn't clear cut say Max is here, but he said Max is under contract. Same with Gino. He said Gino is under contract. He's saying the same thing with the assistant coaches. But what I do love, you guys, is you can see the media was trying to, fish some things out of him, but he said that he's not going to speak out on the conversations that he had with the players and that he had with the coaching staff. That is going to stay between him and them. And you got to respect it. And he's keeping things in house. He's not going to tell us everything that we want to know. But I do believe that Spytek has a vision. He has a plan in place. And you can see that he is already working. And that kind of ties in what has came out today, you guys, in the interview schedule. The Raiders have current interviews starting tonight with Davis Webb, who is the Broncos quarterback coach. Matt Nagy and Vance Joseph will be tomorrow. And the big one, my number 1 guy, Clint Kubiak, on Friday. You already have 4 coaching interviews lined up, and I believe we are going to have more. Like I said, Brian Flores and Brian Daboll has been 2 names that has been floating around more as a tandem, not one or the other, but more as a tandem that has been floating around. the Raiders. So we will see in the coming days if there's going to be more interviews lined up. But you guys, I've been hearing a lot of things about Davis Webb, and I'm hearing good things about Davis Webb. Now, the one thing that scares me about Davis Webb is that he is not an offensive coordinator. You guys, he is a quarterback coach. If he does come in, I'm glad that we're interviewing him. But I would rather probably have Davis Webb come in as an offense coordinator. Not saying I don't want him as a head coach. He just probably wouldn't be my first option. But the more I am hearing about him, I would say it's more intriguing, more like interesting, and a name to keep an eye on. I definitely have to do more homework on Davis Webb, at least with his coaching and how he is as a coach. I know it didn't really work out him as an NFL player, but I'm hearing really good things coming from at least from Broncos fans for when they talk about Davis Webb. I'm hearing some good things when it comes to the coaching aspect of him. And then we have Matt Nagy coming in on Thursday. That's a hard no. After what he did with the Bears, I mean, we don't even got to talk about what he did with the Bears as a head coach. Just looking at this offense from this season with the Chiefs, Mahomes had a down year. The entire offense as a whole had a down year. They were very not Chiefs-like this season, you guys. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs possibly move on from Matt Nagy, just considering how bad, like it was a really, really bad offense out there in Kansas City. And it was, again, wasn't Chiefs-like. You're talking about a Chiefs offense that is led by possibly one of the greatest or one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, having weapons like Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. I mean, the list goes on. And then you have Kareem Hunt, who is not really of a scrub at the running back position, especially when he's in an offense being led by number 15 back there. It is very, very questionable on why the Chiefs struggled on offense this season. And it goes back to Matt Nagy. Vance Joseph leading a great, great defense out in Denver, but I believe this is one of those coaches that's kind of like that Josh McDaniels of the defense, that he is just a really, really good coordinator, but not a really good head coach. So I wouldn't really take a chance on Vance Joseph as a head coach. If he leaves Denver for another coordinator position, maybe you bring him in as a defense coordinator, but I don't think he's going to come in. If he's going to stay as a defensive coordinator, he's likely just going to stay in Denver. And then Clint Kubiak, you guys, like I said, this is my number one. I talked about it with Jay Rader. I talked about it with Raider Will. That Clint is my number one. I think me and Will was in agreement. What we really like out of Clint is that he's calling his own plays up there in Seattle. And he's got them winning ball games, 13-4. They win against a really, really tough Niners defense to clinch the not only the division, but to clinch the number one seed. And for me, what really stuck out with Clint Kubiak's offense is that he stuck to what was working. The running game was working. He didn't force his quarterback to go out there and throw it 30, 40 times if he knew the passing game wasn't going to be their bread and butter. The running game was slashing through the Niners defense. And that's what I love out of a coach that is not going to overthink. He's not going to step away to what is working to what's not working. I seen it in the last game, you guys, with Ashton Genty. He was having some nice runs, and then the Raiders just got away from him. Yeah, he had 26 carries in that game, but I would have loved to see more, honestly, because I was telling myself, like, you can see he's just one run away, one block away from breaking one. And they just were not running the football effectively with Genty. So I love what I see out of Clint. I believe that Clint will stick to the running game, but also make sure that the running game is effective, as that is his bread and butter. Let me get into some more of these comments, you guys. More people that are coming in, you guys. Salute to everybody popping in. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that like so you can push this video out into the YouTube algorithm, and also hit that bell so you guys are not missing anything from Raiders Primos. We got the man, the myth, the legend, the Ian Rappaport of Raider Nation, Sean Johnson. Hi, Primos. I am here. Hey, salute to you, Sean. Salute to you. I know you're going to bring all your notes and you're going to take over the live. Hey, please do it, Sean. Please do it. Take over the live. Give me all the notes because I've been scrolling through all my notes and it's almost everywhere. You got to balance where you got to balance your note taking. It gets kind of screwed up. We got AZ Raider. Yo, hey, salute to you, AZ Raider. Hope the day's treating you well. Sean Johnson says Spytek had to babysit and tape watch with Brandon Carroll. That's crazy when your general manager has to watch a tape with you, meaning you messing up extremely bad. Oh man, Sean, thank you for reminding me on bringing this up. Yeah, you guys. I don't know if you guys. Let me see who. I think it was on ESPN by Ryan McFadden. Let me see the article. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I can't find it, you guys. But in essence, just like Sean said, you guys, there's a point this season, and it came out from, I believe, one of our offensive linemen's agents, that it was so bad, you guys, that the offensive line would meet with Geno Smith and Ashton Jeanty, and they would basically go over a game plan on how to basically understand the assignments of the offense, as the offensive line had no clue what they were doing. And it was so bad, you guys, that our general manager, John Spytek, had to go over film with Ashton Jeanty, Geno Smith, and the rest of the offensive line. It was that bad. And this coming out, I don't know how Brandon Carroll is going to stay here. I think the writing is on the wall, that he is going to be out of the head coach, out of being our offensive line coach. And I'm glad. Like I said, you guys, I don't think the offensive line is as bad as we make it out to be. Was it terrible? Yes, it was terrible. But I think it was more of a testament to how bad the coaching staff was, and not to the talent that was on this team. We've seen what happened when you put Caleb Rogers in there. We've seen what happened when you put Charles Grant in there. But I go back to training almost every time I talk about this offensive line. What was the point of doing the offensive line shuffle? What was the point of putting Meredith at center? What was the point of saying JPJ was competing with Alex Kappa, one of the worst rated guards last year, that we signed to a 2-year deal? There was no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason for that. But for whatever reason, this coaching staff thought that was in the best interest for the Raiders, and it clearly wasn't. I said it back in training camp, you guys, that if this line was not going to work, this experiment that they were running with wasn't going to work, you got to switch it back. You got to put JPJ back at center. You got to put Meredith back at guard. And yet, Brandon Carroll died on that hill. He died on the hill having Meredith. But even then, JPJ gets injured, and then they finally put Will Putnam, a UDFA center, at center. And then they move Meredith at guard. So the writing was on the wall, Sean. This does not shock me whatsoever, because you could see it throughout the entire throughout the entire regular season. You can see how bad this offensive line was, and it was a testament to how bad Brandon Carroll was, that he had no clue what he was doing with this offensive line. No clue. 2-4, the young offensive mind is what we need, and absolutely makes sense. Also needs to be done. Enough of the same shit that we've done the past 4 coaches. I agree with you, 2-4. I wouldn't be against a defensive-minded coach, and I said this because both coaches, both a offensive-minded or defensive-minded, is going to have to answer to me the same question if I'm John Spytek. Who is the coordinator that they're bringing in? When they're who's calling the other side of the football? If you're bringing in a Brian Flores, who's the offensive coordinator? If you're bringing in a Clint Kubiak, who is the defensive coordinator? Because both sides of the football 2-4 need help, defense and defense and offense. They both need help. So I need to know, if you're Clint Kubiak, who is your defense coordinator? If you're Brian Flores, who is your offense coordinator? If you are a Davis Webb, Who's your defense coordinator? Who's your offense coordinator? I need to know these things because I think we can all say Mendoza is likely going to be the pick at 1, unless other things may change. I'm thinking you go offensive minded as a head coach because your pick is quarterback. It's likely going to be Mendoza. I would rather pair up Mendoza, unless you bring in a defensive minded head coach. He brings in the offensive coordinator, and that offensive coordinator is going to handle the offense. The head coach, like he's like, I'm gonna handle the defense and you handle the offense. I can live with that if you're still trying to go the Mendoza route. But I think I would just feel more comfortable with a offensive minded head coach at the helm with a rookie quarterback. Lika, whoever the next, please don't hire your son. We all know what with nepotism and Brandon Carroll. Oh, bro, Raider will say the best. No grannies, no sons, no daughters, no sisters, no husbands, no. This better not be no family reunion up in Las Vegas. Now, I agree. Hey, I don't know about head coach, but OC would be good to give it a try. Yeah, with definitely with Davis Webb, I would definitely look at him as an offensive coordinator, not as a head coach. I would love to see what he does as the OC. And if he has a lot of success, if he has success as an offensive coordinator, hey, you never know. Maybe he moves up in the ranks as a head coach for the Raiders in the future. AZ, exactly my issue with Webb, even as a candidate, 3 years of coaching and people want him as a head coach, pass. Yeah, I don't want him as a head coach, AZ. He is an interesting name because of the things I've been seeing on social media in regards to him as a coach. People say that he has potential to be one of them ones, but I want to see what he can do as an offensive coordinator. If I'm going to take a chance on a first-time head coach, I would rather go with Clint Kubiak. He's my number one, even though we'll have to see because Brian Flores and Brian Daboll, they're catching some heat. They're catching some heat. Sean Johnson, here's my updated offense head coach I would want in order. Matt LaFleur, if he becomes available. Number 2, Clint Kubiak. Number 3, Joe Brady. Number 4, Kevin Stefanski. Interesting names with Joe Brady and Kevin Stefanski. I gotta see like what was the reason why it didn't work out in Cleveland, at least with Kevin Stefanski. I'm gonna be honest though, Sean, it was you kind of seen why. He couldn't really develop a quarterback out there with Cleveland. You give him Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, outside of the other quarterbacks that they brought in, he probably was the most successful quarterback under Stefanski, and then they let him walk. They brought in Deshaun Watson. Like, when is he gonna play? Like, that's my thing. When is Deshaun Watson gonna play? Brought in Joe Flacco. They traded him away. Dylan Gabriel couldn't really develop him. Of course, it's Dylan's rookie year, but he has not looked good at any point during the time that he got some reps out there in Cleveland. And Shador has kind of been middle. He's been meh. But again, rookie quarterback. You would have liked to see Kevin Stefanski and Shador possibly get another season together. But that is the knock I would give to Kevin Stefanski, is that can he develop a quarterback? Because that is the number one thing, right, that we're looking at with the number one pick, is that you're likely going to go quarterback at number one. So if you do bring in Kevin Stefanski, can he answer the call and develop Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore if they're there for the taking at number one? And with Joe Brady, what worries me is that Buffalo doesn't know what wide receivers they have. And I mean that from a scheming standpoint, because they were marching wide receivers left and right out there in Buffalo. And the vocal point of that offense is the tight end room. And he can't even get them involved. That goes back to Joe Brady. You have Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer here, who likely will, again, whoever comes in, likely is going to try to center the offense around those two pieces. Of course, Ashton Jeanty will be featured too. But if we're talking about the passing game, you're looking at Brock Bowers and possibly Michael Mayer as the two guys that you're trying to surround this offense with, or at least they're going to be they're going to be the vocal point of the offense. If he can't get Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer involved, like if he does exactly what he's doing in Buffalo, that's going to worry me. That is going to worry me if you don't get Brock Bowers involved. Then what are you doing? What are you doing? And the thing is, they're talented in Buffalo, and Dawson Knox and Dawson Kincaid. They are talented tight ends, and for whatever reason, he just cannot get them involved in the game plan. 2-4. No on Vance Joseph, John Harbaugh, Cliff Dingleberry. You know what? Yeah, let's talk about it. 2-4. As you guys know, this came out, I believe, was it today or yesterday? That he got, was it today? I'm sorry, y'all. I had an early shift this morning. Was it today that he got fired, or was it yesterday? But anyways, you guys, the Baltimore Ravens have moved on from John Harbaugh after 18 seasons. Let me see what his winning record, because he actually did have a pretty solid record with the Ravens. Let me see his career. It says from 2008 to 2025, John Harbaugh's final record with the Baltimore Ravens after 18 seasons is 180 to 113 losses. In the regular season, he was 13-11 in the postseason, including a Super Bowl. I think that's 42, a Super Bowl 42 victory, making him the winningest coach in franchise history. Before being fired in January 2026, he led the team to 12 playoff appearances and 6 AFC North titles, but he faced recent playoff challenges despite strong regular seasons. Yeah, it is a no for me with John Harbaugh. And I know you guys are probably thinking, what do you mean? What do you mean? John Harbaugh, winningest coach in Ravens history, Super Bowl champion, been to the playoffs numerous times. Yeah, he had an injury-ridden season with the Baltimore Ravens. Could have went to the playoffs if it wasn't for his kicker missing the field goal at the end of the Steelers game. But here's my reason, you guys. In recent memory, his Ravens team has been blowing a lot of games, has been choking away a lot of games. Just in week 1, you guys, I can remember, his team choked the game away. They were up 45 to 23, with 6-7 minutes left to go in that game, and they choked. I would not want to bring John Harbaugh in. I wouldn't, because then you have to answer. It goes back to that question. He has to bring in an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator that's going to make him look good. Because, guys, he's not an offensive-minded coach. He's not a defensive-minded coach. He is a special teams guru. He doesn't know the offense. He doesn't know the defense. He benefits off his coordinators. Kind of like, I would have to say, kind of like how Dan Campbell does with the Lions when it came to Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn being the coordinators with the Lions. I felt the same way with John Harbaugh. Not saying he's a bad head coach. He's a great head coach. But will he be a great head coach for the Raiders? I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be a great head coach with the Raiders. He had a talented roster with the Baltimore Ravens and couldn't do anything with them. People talk about Lamar Jackson was injured. Okay, well, let's look at his playoff record. Because that was the knock on John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens, is that they're regular season champions. Because once they get to the playoffs, they fold and they choke every single year. He had a 3-5 record in the postseason with Lamar Jackson starting. Now, whose fault is that in the playoffs? That's a losing record, you guys, 3-5. And I get it. Being to the playoffs is more than what the Raiders can say. But I'm thinking about not just playoffs, you guys. I'm thinking about building this team to, yes, get to the playoffs, show some improvement. But in the long run, I don't just want to go to the playoffs and get kicked out every year. If the Raiders do somehow find some success and go to the playoffs every year, but not even making it to the Super Bowl, not even winning a Super Bowl, at some point, you guys, we're going to get frustrated. We're going to get frustrated because, yeah, getting to the playoffs is nice, but what's the point if you can never get over that hump? That's why the Buffalo Bills are getting killed right now, because with Patrick Mahomes, with the Baltimore Ravens out of the playoffs, Josh Allen, the pressure is on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Because can they get over that hump now? There's no excuses now why they can't get over that hump. And if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, you guys, hell, even probably, I would say win the Super Bowl. But yeah, also just getting to the Super Bowl, just making a Super Bowl appearance. There's going to be some questions going on in Buffalo. AZ Raider, no one saw that as well. Hey, what's going on, brother? I thought I did. I did acknowledge you, my guy. Salute. We got Oscar in the building. Salute to you, Oscar. Big guy. At this point, rehire Gruden. OC Todd down. Lee guy, you a fool, bro. Hank, Salah is overrated. He can't succeed being a head coach. I think he's like what I said from Vance Joseph. He's another guy that I believe is just a really, really good coordinator. He's a really, really good defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, you could say he went to a really bad organization because the Jets are a bad organization. But I will say the Jets gave him time. They gave him 3 years, and he couldn't get anything done out there in New York. So yeah, I believe Salah is another one that he's just a really, really good coordinator. Oscar Primos, who is your ideal head coach? My number one is Clint Kubiak, and here's why, Oscar. Just watching the Seattle offense, and he calls that offense. Mike McDonald does not have any input on the offense. That is all Clint Kubiak working that offense. So he already is he's already going to be coming here with his own playbook. He's not going to be coming here not only as a first-time head coach, but not as a first-time play caller. He is calling plays out there in Seattle. He has his own playbook. And what really stood out to me was that Niner game. He didn't overthink it. His running game was working. He didn't get away from it. How many times, Oscar, have we seen us have some little, not even just this season, but even in past seasons where we had little success running the football or even passing the football. And for whatever reason, we just got away from what was working. We blew leads because we got away from what was working. You're not going to get that from Clint Kubiak. He is going to stay to his game plan, and he's going to stay to what is working. And he's going to make sure to get his best guys the football. Why do you think Jackson is having the season he is? Is because Clint makes him the vocal point of that offense. He's going to give his superstars the football. Make sure you're looking for number 11 out there. And I believe if he becomes the head coach of the Raiders, he's going to be telling, if it's Mendoza or Dante Moore, he's going to be telling the quarterback, look for 89. Look for 87. Look for number 2, if in the flat or as a check down. I would say look for your number 1 receiver, but we'll get into that more as this offseason goes. Because I do believe, Oscar, we do need to get a wide receiver 1. But if you do look at the free agency class, Oscar, there is not a lot of names out there. There is Mike Evans, but I believe if he doesn't re-sign with Tampa Bay, he probably will retire. George Pickens is a name that we could monitor, but he could possibly go back to Dallas. And after him, Oscar, there's not a lot of names that could be your wide receiver 1. You are better at addressing wide receiver 1 in the draft than trying to go get a free agent wide receiver. So yeah, my point is I like Clint Kubiak because he's gonna I think he will help develop the quarterback that we are going to bring in, but also, like I said, he is not going to overthink when it comes to running the offense. And whatever my question for Clint, though, Oscar, is who does he bring in as a defensive coordinator? Just like people are saying bringing in Brian Flores or bringing a defense, even the Chris Shula. Who is going to be the offensive coordinator? I know Brian Daboll has been linked with Brian Flores, but with Chris Shula, who will be that offensive coordinator? Does he bring Matt LaFleur with him? Or does he go a different route? We don't know. Same goes with Clint. Who is going to be his defense coordinator? Because like I said earlier, Oscar, we need both. We need help on both sides of the football. Hey, Lee guy. Let's see. Like, hey, let's call the nursing home, bro. Let's call the nursing home and see what Tom Cable's up to. I know Cable ain't that old. I know Cable ain't that old, but that was funny. That was funny. Bro, Demokes, you hella late, bro. You were not first. You were not first, bro. Get that shit out of here, bro. You were not first. He wasn't, though. You right, though, Demokes. He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad. Let me see. Let me get down more in these comments. Hank, I hope we keep Deuce Gruden around just for the F of it at this point. He's part of Allegiant Stadium. I mean, what is he? The strength and conditioning coach? I mean, you know what's crazy, Hank? We don't deal with a lot of injuries. I mean, outside of last year with AP, where the defense was really getting shredded by injuries. Is he the strength and conditioning coach? I wouldn't be upset about it. We haven't really been dealing with a lot of injuries, so something might be going right with one part of the coaching crew. But I will say this, Hank. I think you just got to clean house. I think Deuce need to be gone along with every other coach that has walked in this Pete Carroll regime or even in the past regimes. Let's start off fresh. Let's bring in a bunch of new guys. And I know that scares a lot of people because they're like, well, I guess we're gonna have another lost season. You guys cannot go into next season already like, oh, I want to be a playoff team. That's not how this thing works. You got to lower your expectations. You got to build this thing right. And I believe that we got to start fresh. You got to clean house. You got to let go of the Rob Leonards. You got to let go of the Patrick Grahams. Let go of the Deuce Grudens. And let's start fresh. Let go of the Brandon Carrolls, the Nate Carrolls. Even, I say Joe Philbin. You got to let him go. Clean fucking house. Clean house. Sean Johnson, if you're going to go offensive coordinator for quarterback development, I will go Brian Daboll, Cliff Kingsbury, or Mike McDaniels if he gets fired, which I believe he is not, Sean. I think Mike McDaniels is. You're talking about the head coach for the Dolphins, right? I think he's going back. I think they said that he's going to stay with Miami. He didn't get fired, I believe. Or give Davis Webb a shot. From what I'm hearing, Sean, I think it would be Brian Daboll or Davis Webb. It would be my 1A, 1B. I would be okay with giving Davis Webb a shot to be the offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people are talking about him being the head coach. I wouldn't. I would rather him come in and be the offensive coordinator, try to build him up that way, and then maybe down the line he can be the head coach if it doesn't work out with the guy that's already running the show here. Thank you, CGR. Appreciate it. Y'all share this thing out to all social media. Fan City. John Harbaugh is a top 3 head coach in the 21st century, but we need to go young and get a coach that can go through this rebuild with and someone who is going to develop a young quarterback. Fan City, you're right. And like I said, I like John Harbaugh. He's a winning. I said it. He's the winningest coach in Ravens history. He goes to the playoffs almost every year, has the Ravens as a playoff contender every year. He's won a Super Bowl, but that was 15 years ago, I believe, or 13 years ago, something like that. I just wouldn't go that route. I think he had his time with the Ravens. Just because he established a great coaching record with the Ravens doesn't mean it will work here. We tried it with Josh McDaniels before. And I know he was already a shit coach before coming here, but look at Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll had success elsewhere. He came here and it didn't work. You guys, this roster is in the same boat that Pete Carroll found it in. Okay, John Harbaugh coming here is not going to change anything. I would rather, and also I think Graf hit it. He had a live earlier and he hit it on the button. You bring in a John Harbaugh here, the expectations are the same thing like when Pete Carroll came here. The expectations are going to go up. Which is not good because you don't have the roster to even get close to sniffing the playoffs. So you're not going to meet the expectations that you're going to have if you bring in a John Harbaugh, which is why I would rather bring in a coach like a Clint Kubiak or even Matt LaFleur if you take a shot at him, if the Packers get disqualified from the playoffs, or even his brother Mike, if you want to look at his way. Not only are they young, coach, if you want to go for a proven coach, hey, you might need to monitor that Packers situation over there. But if you want to go young and a first-time head coach, hey, there's options out there. Sean Johnson. That's why it's very important who you would bring in as a head coach or just coordinator. Their roles play a huge difference, and let's stop wanting other organizations successful head coaches. Hey, talk that talk, Sean. Chewy, salute to you, man. Hope everything is going great with you, man. Sean says we need to find our guy and he becomes successful here with the Raiders. Let's make a name for a fresh, new young guy. Raiders deserve that. And I mean, we talked about this, Sean, during the regular season. Build your own identity. Pete Carroll went in and signed Geno Smith, got Stone Forsythe, Jamal Adams, Tyler Lockett, was signing a lot of, former Seahawks, signing a lot of his guys. And it almost felt like the Las Vegas Seahawks, right? You want to build your own identity. Like it feels like ever since we got to Las Vegas, you guys, maybe Gruden was building something to having his own identity, but after Gruden, you guys, we have not been able to find our own identity. And I believe that's where it needs to start. We need to find our own identity. Fan City, I'll take a flyer on Davis Webb, then bring in another team's head coach. We need to start from the studs up, a young offensive-minded head coach that can grow with this young team. I mean, look what Ben Johnson is doing and Liam Cohen is doing. I know a lot of people are saying, well, they had rosters already set. Ben didn't. Remember, that offensive line was built. They spent hella money on that offensive line this offseason. But what made that job attractive, you guys, was he had a quarterback. Same with Liam Cohen. What made it attractive? He had a quarterback. That first overall pick, you guys, whatever head coach comes in, they have their quarterback for the taking. If it's Mendoza and if he declares Dante Moore, if it's either of those guys, they have their quarterback right there in their lap, which is going to make this job opportunity very, very attractive. Lee got Ravens letting Mike McDonald walk out the door is a mistake on their end. Yeah. I mean, look what he's doing with Seattle. Has that defense balling out. And that's the thing, crazily, guys, that Baltimore has talent on that defense. And they played horribly. They played horrible all season long. Chronicles, give me Stefanski or Kubiak or Mike LaFleur. Primos, if Matt LaFleur and Green Bay would be the only one that would be a plan B or A over Clint Kubiak and Matt LaFleur, I think you mean Mike LaFleur or Matt LaFleur is only 44. He was only in Green Bay 6 seasons, so that's why he'd be number one. I wouldn't hate it, Sean. And again, that's if Green Bay lets him go. Lika Lindenbaum should be the Raiders radar to sign him in free agency. Well, Lika, it all depends what head coach we bring in. It all depends what head coach we bring in. What are they going to run? What offensive scheme they're going to run? Does Linderbaum fit that scheme? Does he not? I said it earlier in the show. We're talking about Mendoza. We're talking about Linderbaum. We're talking about, Braden Smith, the Colts right tackle. We're talking about a lot of free agency players, a lot of draft players. But at the end of the day, we really don't know because it all depends what coach comes in here. What are they going to run? What players fit the scheme that they are going to run? Because you don't want to have players playing out of position, right? The most, if/or when we get Mendoza, I wouldn't mind using the second round pick, getting Mendoza, one of his receivers from Indiana. And I agree with you, DeMos. And I think I've been here seeing that Cooper is falling to the third in most mocks. So maybe you look at Cooper or any one of his. I think he has like 3 of his receivers that he has really, really good chemistry with. But I would rather just go get his number one. Go get Cooper. Smokey. Yo, Primo, I'm new to your channel, but I gotta say, bro, I love the hat. Gotta give me one. LOL. Thanks for your content for real, Boricua in the house. Hey, believe it or not, Smokey, I got this hat in Puerto Rico. I went to Puerto Rico about like 2 years ago, and I went to Ponce, and just shopping around. I spent hella money up in that store. I had to go back there twice, and I can't believe I seen this on my second trip to the store, and I was like, oh, I gotta get that hat. Come on, silver and black, like come on. Leak eye, I would absolutely love that. I'm surprised Raheem Morris got fired from Atlanta. As soon as he got fired, I was like, oh, I would love to bring him in as a defense coordinator. I would love that. Demokes, Primo, what are you talking about? We're going to be Super Bowl bound in year one, bro. Demokes. I love the optimism, buddy. I love the optimism. Love the optimism. Smokey, appreciate it. All y'all, thank you. Glad to be here. I'll be in Grafton Waste in the Hammers channel, so I want to support our Raider family. Hey, thank you for coming, Smokey. Appreciate it, man. You know, it's your choice whether to click on the video or not. I appreciate that you came in here and to support. And we could keep this Raider ball talk going. Hank, if we do bring in a Kubiak, it'd be curious to see who he brings in as DC. Yep, it would have to be someone he's connected with. And I agree, Hank. I said this on Jay's shout out to Jay. And, you know, I keep shouting him and Raider Will out. Guys, if you guys haven't already, go to Just Raiders Baby Podcast. Go hit that subscribe button if you have not. If you have, hey, push it out. Send it to your family, send it to your friends, push it out there, get his subscribers, get the numbers up, run them numbers up. And then I think Will is on Silver and Black Podcast. Let me double check. Yeah, Silver and Black Radio Podcast. Go over there and hit that subscribe button. Go show support for some more Raider content creators, you guys. Yeah, just show love, show support to our guys. But we said this, Hang, and we've always basically it came down to you want Spytek to find your head coach, right? And here's what I would want: Brady and Spytek need to pull out, pause, and let the head coach find his guys, build his coaching staff. I agree with you. Whoever he brings at DC, I hope is one of his guys. Whoever he brings as an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, bro, down to the freaking water boy, Hank. I want Kubiak to have a connection with them. Of course, you know, that's being dramatic, but you get what I'm saying is that I want the coaching staff to have the same vision as Kubiak, but when it comes to Kubiak, if he's the head coach, he has to have the same vision as John Spytek and Tom Brady. Everything has to be aligned. Smokey, no disrespect, but I feel like Gruden set up the Raiders backwards. All his picks aren't even on the team besides Max and Miller, I think. Oh, no, you're right, Smokey. I just believe the trajectory that Gruden had the team, you can see they were growing with the wins. You know, his first season, 4-12, then it was 7-9, then it was 8-8, and then he finished 3-2 after getting fired, and that team ended up going 10-7 and sneaking into the playoffs. I believe he had him in the right trajectory, but you're right. He couldn't draft for shit, though. he could not draft to save his life. He couldn't. And this is why the thumbnail, you guys, the pressure is on Spytek. Thank you, Smokey, for kind of reminding me of about the thumbnail for this live. The pressure is on Spytek, and like I said, I think he knows it. He's doing his due diligence in the coaching search, but we can even go further than that, Smokey. Outside of the coaching search, is what moves is he going to make in free agency? How is it outside of that first overall pick? Yeah, we're talking about Mendoza, right, Smokey? But who's that second round pick? Who's the third round pick? Who's those fourths? Who's those fifths? That draft class needs to hit in that draft class. So far, I like what I've seen out of this draft class. Am I going to call it a great draft class? No, because we haven't seen a lot out of them. We've seen potential out of Jack Besh. We've seen potential out of Caleb Rogers. We've seen potential out of Charles Grant. But we'll ask a really good question. Are those cornerstone pieces for you in the future? We don't know. So the pressure is definitely on Spytek, and especially that he is given the keys now. That's the thing. Gruden had the keys at that time over Mayock, and he was making those first round selections. Spytek has the keys. He's going to be making those first round selections, and at number one, he cannot get it wrong. I would say if he picks Mendoza and he gets it wrong, who's the coach? Who's the coach? Because I've always said that you need to pair Mendoza up with the coach that can bring the best out of him, that they can both grow together. Hank, all the recent quarterbacks drafted first overall are balling lately. Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud went too, but I hear you. To me, should have been the real number one over Bryce Young. Hey, shit, Bryce Young is balling too. Say what you want. Bryce Young's in the playoffs. Say what you want. Bryce Young is in the playoffs. And we will see how Cam Ward does. And with Cam Ward, Hank, it all depends what the Tennessee Titans do. Honestly. If the Tennessee Titans build that offensive line, and I think Calvin Ridley is a good wide receiver too. He stepped into that wide receiver one role, but I think Calvin Ridley is a really good wide receiver too. If they can look at getting him some help in the wide receiver department, getting him a true number one wide receiver, I would very, very be interested in seeing how Cam Ward does. But again, it goes back to the same thing what we've been saying for our situation. Who are they going to bring in who is their offense coordinator? I don't even know if they're cleaning house either, but it's going to depend on who they have as their coach. Are they going to set Cam Ward up for success, or is it going to be a coach that's just going to kill his confidence? Smokey says, hell yeah, Ponce in the house. That's where I'm from, family. Oh, real? Hey, Ponce is beautiful, Smokey. I can't wait to go back to Puerto Rico when I get the chance. It's hard for me because I live in the West. I live in the Bay Area. It is hard for me to travel cross country to Puerto Rico. But when I definitely get the chance, oh, bro, Ponce is definitely a place I'm going back to. Yes. Go subscribe to my guys, you guys. And go subscribe to my guys. Chronicles, I got to go to Ponce. Okay, my wife needs a vacation, although it's a little bit of a drive for my family and CB. Yeah, Ponce, bro, they got different PR hats too in different colors. They got one that is in silver, that is also in silver and black, and it says PR, but I just prefer the flag. Again, I was spending too much money out there. If I could have, you guys, I would have bought probably a ton of hats if I could have. Hank, yeah, Chip Kelly had no ties to Pete, and you seen what happened. Also, Pete was trying to be in the kitchen cooking with PG, and that also didn't work well. And that's what I'm saying, Hank. And that's why when it comes to who we're bringing in at head coach, again, kind of beating a dead horse here. Here's why Clint Kubiak is my number one, is because that number one pick is likely going to be a quarterback. I would rather have our head coach. He's already going to come in with his own playbook, calling the plays. You have him and you have a young quarterback together, growing together, building continuity together. I'm here for it. El Capitan, salute to you, man. Sean, Primo, just to let you know, Clint Kubiak's offense is averaging 28 points a game. Enough said. And I say that because, Sean, we're struggling to score 20, bro. We're struggling to score 20. El Capitan, we need to invest a quarterback one who defines leadership, discipline, and accountability. Kind of fits Mendoza, right? Hey, say what you want about the kid being a nerd or this and that. You can tell he's a leader. He's disciplined, and he holds himself accountable. And I guarantee he would probably hold others accountable. Hopefully he's not Mr. Nice Guy, though. I will say that. Will he hold other people accountable? I hope he's not Mr. Nice Guy. Just don't be like Gino, bro. Like where you're holding other people accountable, but you're not holding yourself accountable. Hank, I think with Harbaugh fired, maybe the Ravens want to restart a bit, and they let go of their center and free agency to avoid paying him. Hey, Hank, I think that's a very, very likely. I think that's very, very likely, especially with Harbaugh being fired. And yes. 2-4. The uncertainty from our GM for free agency and the draft is actually good for once because now the other teams in our division don't know either. So keep them guessing. Surprise attack on them. I love it. 2-4. Love it. And like I said, the pressure is on him to be aggressive in this offseason and to make moves that is going to make this roster better. But like I said, you guys, the most important decision is who he brings in as a head coach, because he is going to make the roster better, but he has to trust that his head coach can put those guys in the right position to make plays, play them in the positions that they should be playing in. And when it comes to his draft class, 2-4, can the head coach develop the draft class? Hell, even from last year, the head coach you bring in, can they develop Jack Besh? Can they develop Charles Grant? Can they develop Ashton Genty? Can they develop Caleb Rogers? Development. That is what John Spytek needs to trust with his head coach. Can you develop the players that I give you? Chronicles, build the trenches in free agency, with the exception of DE. There are a lot of good ones in this class to help Max get skill layers in the draft. Chronicles, I could not have said it any better. I agree. You know, you have a lot of people saying, if you draft Mendoza, who's going to block for him? This offensive line stinks. I don't know if those guys know that free agency is before the draft, where you can address the trenches in free agency. You could address defensive line, offensive line in free agency. Now, I agree. The exception is DE because there's not a lot of edge rushers coming out in free agency. I think you do have to look in the draft, but I got to do more homework on the edge rushers in the draft. But I am hearing there's not a lot of talent when you're talking about the middle rounds. That there's a lot of talent in the first round, or at least going to go in the first round. But again, do we trade back up into the first round to possibly go get a pass rusher, or do you sit in the second round? Where you have the fourth pick in the second round, and do you take an edge rusher there? Me personally, I've looked at corners there, but like I said, Chronicles, that if we're looking, we've always said we need a lot of help, but let's split it down the middle, right, between the offense and the defense. The offense doesn't really need as much help as the defense does. You have Ashton Genty, your running back one. You have Brock Bowers. You have Michael Mayer. You have Jack Besh as your wide receiver 2, and Trey Tucker. They both play that wide receiver 2 role. So you really just need a wide receiver 1 and maybe a guard, maybe a center. You have a center. You have JPJ on the roster. Your more need is at probably right tackle and at the guard spot, at the left and right guard spot. Again, that's if you do not want to have JPJ move back to center, or if he does move back to center. But when it comes to this defense, Chronicles, bro, you need like a whole new secondary outside of Darian Porter. I know I was hearing, I seen one article about should the Raiders bring Eric Stokes back. I didn't really read too much into it, you guys, because again, I want to see who do we bring in as a coach. But for the guys that we know that's going to be here, like a Darian Porter is the only guy that I could think of. If we're talking about starting, he's the only guy that I would bring back, like on that secondary. Then you look at the linebacker room. You got Tommy Eichenberg. You got Lindenberg, 2 young guys. Outside of that, are you bringing back a Jamal Adams? Are you bringing back a Devin White? Are you bringing back a Lyndon Roberts? Probably not. I would say you need an entire linebacker room. You need you had Tonka Hemingway, who showed some promise, so you can rotate him in and out of the defensive tackle position. What are they going to do with Tyree? At the edge, you have Malcolm Kuntz leaving, likely going to possibly test free agency. There's a lot of help that Max needs on that defensive side. So you're absolutely right. You need to get Max some help. But yeah, you can build the trenches through the free agency, and also look in the draft. El Capitan, I just subscribed to you, Primos. Great content. We can do a great collaboration from Puerto Rico to Venezuela. Latinos representing the Silver and Black Nation. Raiders. Yes, definitely, El Capitan. And thank you for the subscribe, my brother. And yes, my socials are there. On Instagram, I reply better, I would say. That's really where I try to get into contact with people, and where I do my collabs is on Instagram. So yes, hit me up on Instagram right there at Raiders Primos, and we can try to schedule a show together. Smokey Mendoza is a real smart kid, man. You can see it in his personality, his nerdy looks, but dude can F and ball for real, for real. Glad he might be our quarterback. And Smokey, here's the thing. I've watched this kid before he went to Indiana. A lot of people are watching Indiana tape and are not high on him. And I get it. He's playing on a great offense. An RPO system has they kind of simplified the offense for him, where it's a kind of a run one read type of system where he just has to make the quick throw. But watching him at Cal, like I tell people, the things that he's doing at Indiana, he was doing at Cal with the less talented football team. Cal is one of those lower I wouldn't even say they're non-ranked. They're like in those lower division schools. They're not, like those SEC caliber schools. And people say he's not mobile, bro. I seen this dude at Cal. I seen him take off for like a 30, 40-yard scamper. So for the people that say he isn't mobile, I disagree. The thing is, what do you guys mean by a mobile quarterback? And I say that because I don't want my quarterback to be like Lamar Jackson and he's a run first type of quarterback, or he could take off and run for. Is it nice that he could take off for 75 yards for a touchdown? Yeah, that would be nice. But what I need more than anything, I need my quarterback to play quarterback first. And that is exactly what Mendoza does. He goes through his reads, through his progressions. He even tries to buy time to continue to try to find somebody. And when it's not there, that is when you will see the mobility come from Mendoza, and he would utilize his legs and try to pick up a first down or even just positive yards. And to Smokey's point, he is a very, very smart kid. It shows not just off the field, but it shows on the field too, how smart this kid is. Leak Guy, Pete Carroll was too stubborn to play his rookies. Instead, he plays the guys that's not supposed to be on the field, to playing the players out of position, etc. Agree. Hank, Tonka looks like he's going to be a beast, man. Should have definitely played more this year. Also, Bo Jackson's nephew has shown flashes more than Thornton and Besh at times with the little snaps he's got. Like I said, Hank, there's young guys on this team that should have got reps, and they just didn't. So what do we do at the wide receiver position? The thing is with Shedrick Jackson, Hank, is, again, you're looking at the measurables. Tucker, same deal. I don't look at Tucker as a wide receiver one because he's more on the smaller side. He's more of that deep threat, which, again, I don't mind it. But I know a lot of people said, can Dante Thornton be that wide receiver one because of the measurables at 6'5", length that he has. But he has a lot of development that he has to get that he has a lot of development that he needs to get done. A lot of development. Now, again, depends on the coach that we bring in. Can they bring the best out of Dante Thornton? Who's to say? How does Dante Thornton look in the Clint Kubiak offense? But I would still draft a wide receiver. I'm not going into preseason, you guys, with the same wide receiver room. I am adding probably 2 more receivers in the draft, but I'm adding one of those receivers, both those receivers that I would draft, potentially being a wide receiver 1. 2-4. I actually feel like all the stars, planets are aligning with our Raider universe, which is a positive. I've not seen or felt like this in a long time. Gotta believe it. Well, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid just yet, 2-4, but I hear you, brother. I hear you. Spytek has the keys. That's what we've been asking for all season long. It's for Spytek to have the keys to the car and basically be a general manager and be the boss. That the head coach is not going to come in here and basically overrule him. That's not what's going to happen anymore. Spytek is going to start with him, is going to end with him. Sean John says, draft David Bailey out of Texas Tech. He has 30 sacks, 163 combined tackles, 105 solo. Draft him. All right. Yeah. Look what he did with Cal. He put respect on Cal. He didn't. I don't think he. I don't think the record was good. I think it was like what 6-5, 7-5, or 5-6. I don't really know the record. I know it wasn't how it is now, like a 13-0 record with Indiana. But hey, he had Cal in some games. Hank, I'd bring Brad Coons on a minimum 1 year. Well, they did that, Hank, and he didn't live up to it. So I wouldn't be upset if they let Coons walk. I wouldn't mind bringing him in, Smokey. Now, $30 million is a lot for a wide receiver one. And again, when he doesn't get the ball, he be having some attitudes. I get it. Hey, it's George Pickens. And he will come in to be your wide receiver one. So you can't hate on him if he's demanding the football, but Mendoza's that guy that likes to spread the football around. He's not going to target you 20 times just because you want the football. But I wouldn't, again, Smokey, I wouldn't hate it. But, man, $30 million? Man. And that's if he's available, Smokey, because something's telling me he's going to go back to Dallas. All right, I'm gonna clean up with we're gonna start rolling back. We've been over an hour, you guys. Thank you guys for pulling up. We have 16 people in the chat room. Thank you guys for pulling up. If you guys haven't already, please think about hitting that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And also get them likes up so this pushes this video out into the YouTube algorithm to more Raider fans like yourself. And also hit that bell so you guys are not missing anything from Raiders Primos. Lee Guy says, whatever the Raiders do, do not trade Lakitasi. I see potential in him for the future, like the Eagles are doing with Malata. And Lee Guy, I agree with you. Again, we're talking about develop. The thing is, you guys, 2026, I want to see, can players get developed? Whoever we bring in as a head coach and whatever coaching staff is going to be assembled here, you guys, can they develop our players? Because this is going to be a young football team next year, you guys. It's going to be a young football team. And that's why I tell a lot of fans, you guys gotta pump the brakes and you guys gotta have a little patience. I get it. 24 years. We've been patient long enough. 24 years. I get it. But this is gonna be a young football team. You gotta be patient. I'm not thinking about 2026. I'm thinking about 2028 and beyond. 2028, this team better be. I'm not saying they should be. They better be a playoff contender by 2028 and be a consistent playoff contender 2028 and after. That's what I'm building to. Raider Dez. I want Jacoby Lane at least in the 3rd or 4th from USC. I wouldn't be mad at that's where I would take Raider Dez. That's where I would take a receiver. That is where I would take a receiver. And I like Jacoby Lane. And again, we're talking about the measurables with Dante Thornton, 6'5", and a lot of people want to, put him as a wide receiver one because he's a 6'5" guy, in the speed that he possesses. But again, I think there's a lot of development that needs to be had with Dante Thornton. Again, I wonder, it's going to be very, very interesting what coach comes in here and to see if they can help develop Dante possibly into that number one role. But yeah, like I said, you still got to go draft a receiver, and I would not be upset with Jacoby Lane. He got the measurables as well, just like Dante Thornton. He's 6'4", 195 pounds, and he's a young wide receiver, 21 years old. You definitely got time with the kid to develop him. And like I said, between 3rd and 4th rounds, Raider Dez, that's where I'll be looking for a wide receiver. And yes, David Bailey, yes, that would definitely, you add him to the defensive line with Max Crosby. But he's a linebacker. But again, still, him and Max together on the same defense. Yeah, appreciate it, 2-4. Appreciate it. We'll get to some more of these comments real quick. There's a Raiders legend named Cliff Branch, Villapon. I always butcher his name, and I know who you're talking about. And I feel bad. I always butcher his name. I just call him Villa, Phil Villa. I know who you're talking about. And I love hearing that man speak about like the old days in Raider football, man. He said Cliff's first 2 years he couldn't catch a cold. Thornton will be okay. I remember that, Chronicles. I remember that. And that's why I said, Carl, I think Thornton will be okay. I'm not here to say, oh, he's a bust or he's a waste of a pick. I just hope there's whoever comes in here, whatever coach comes in here, that they can help develop Thornton and, help him reach that potential, But anyways, you guys, I'm sorry that I couldn't get into yeah, no, I know. I always butcher his name, but I know who he's talking about. I call him Bill Villa. Bill Villy, but the reason why I love him is because just watching old Raiders documentaries of our Super Bowl wins and just seeing how nasty he played back then. I mean, man, bro, I love defenses like that. It sucks that football became not so fun. Defense can't really play defense like that. But anyways, you guys, man, I apologize if I did not get to everyone's comment, you guys. I tried my best to get to everyone's comment, but thank you guys for commenting. Thank you guys for sharing your input. You guys, we just really talked about the coaching search. I talked about it with Jay Raider and Raider Will. I really didn't want to, really put anything else out there that we have, that we haven't already talked about. We've kind of been beating this to a dead horse, and we're probably going to continue beating the dead horse in future shows. I'll try to possibly get some more people on here to get their inputs, get their opinions on the coaching search. And I definitely got to get Raider Will on here because we see the draft differently. We love debating on the draft and Villa Peon. I'm still gonna butcher it 2-4. I'm still gonna butcher it, brother. But anyways, y'all, please, again, if you guys have not hit that subscribe button, please think about hitting that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And if you do hit that subscribe button, I appreciate and thank you from the bottom of my heart, all the support that you guys are giving this channel. And you guys can get those likes up on the way out. Push this video out to more Raider fans like yourself in the YouTube algorithm. And also hit that bell so you guys are not missing anything from Raiders Primos. News is coming out, you guys. Like I said, we have interviews lined up, you guys, and I guarantee we're going to have more interviews lined up. But as of right now, you guys, tonight, Davis Webb, Broncos quarterback coach, is going to be interviewing for the head coaching position tonight. Tomorrow, we have 2 interviews scheduled with Matt Nagy, Chiefs offensive coordinator, and Broncos defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph. And Friday, that is my number one guy, Clint Kubiak, Seahawks offensive coordinator. He is going to become, I don't know if it's going to be virtual, but he is scheduled for an interview for the head coaching spot on Friday. And also, you guys, Friday, Indiana, Oregon. My brothers, Hammer, Graf, they're going to be having a watch party, you guys. That is a game that you guys, I highly, highly recommend you guys try to get your eyes on that game. We have 2 quarterbacks playing in that game. Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, 2 possible future Raiders that could be picked with the number 1 overall. So definitely Friday. Yes, 7:30 Eastern. Thank you, CGR. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Do not miss. I don't think you're going to want to miss that game, y'all. So definitely, if you got the time, be glued. Tell the wifey, tell the kids, hey, I got some football I need to watch. Because I know I'm going to be glued to that game. So anyways, y'all, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I definitely will be in the chat room for that watch party. So I'll possibly see you guys in the chat room on Friday, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see if there's any other news that comes out, you guys, tonight or tomorrow. We will be live addressing everything Raiders. Right now, I'm just basically watching. I'm just sitting back and watching what news comes out. And whatever news comes out, whatever coaches we're going to bring in for interviews or guys that we signed some future contracts. I believe we made some future signings on our young guys on the practice squad, I will come on live and we will talk about it. Anyways, you guys have an amazing Wednesday. We'll see you guys in the next live show. Again, look out for possibly Friday or Saturday for it. Hey, shoot, we might do a preview show of the Indiana and Oregon game. So hit that bell, you guys. Hit that bell so you guys are not missing anything from Raiders Primos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Love y'all. Appreciate every single one of y'all. We out of here. Peace.